How many guesses you want to take? How many guesses you're going to know? Before you know, you got to lay it down on the table. How many shots you going to take? Does it need to go into 100 to understand all this way, all this flow? How it goes, the melody of the flow of this time going past you. You got to count every shot before you actually get the right guess on the go. Which one you gonna do? You're gonna think about it. You're gonna be a warrior and have a split second on the go. This moment of your life is going through every single second, every single moment, every little split is gonna go through like an experience of you knowing this from your soul, from your instincts. Put it into your mind, think about it, and see the whole picture in your mind and soul. You got to understand. You might have to take a guess, you might take a shot, but it is that the right choice you made from this moment of your life. This moment of your life got to make sense and got speak the truth of this moment, of the flow of time, how you're supposed to go, how you're supposed to be, how you're supposed to grind this way of life. Like a warrior, you gotta see, you gotta worry that split second of your life. You gotta put it together like it's a moment, it matters to you and to everybody else. Like the system is agreeing with this moment, not to be pushed around and chucked around like bouncing off the walls, like matter doesn't even matter anymore. If you understand this flow, there's no control in your mind, taking over, being spread in your mind, going further and further and further till you cannot think anymore. How are you going to feel? How you want to take that moment, that split second you're in danger. You're looking at the car, you're driving and you see someone passing through. What are you going to say? What are you going to do? Are you going to roll over and just die and take over? You got to understand this is the way I'm trying to explain myself for a moment to see what you got to do, what you got to say, what you got to do to be a warrior at that time of the day or the time really matters when it makes a difference. Like a blessing's going to be made at a very split second, like a warrior. You got to think about it, you got to be about it. Like a bodyguard, you got to take the bullet sometimes to see the moment how it pass. The shots you got to take, every 100 shots you take, you got to guess. You got to know you're guessing right. You got to understand. You got to know what you're saying when it makes sense to other people. You got to understand people take time too. So you got to work as a team, as a warrior to see that split second go away. So you grounded to the next level. You don't, your instinct is getting there all the way. So you got to know how this goes, how this flow goes, this melody, this death melody is how it's taken over like a noise control. Like matter doesn't matter anymore, even if you bounce off the walls. You don't really care or really know. You don't understand. That's a waste of words, a waste of time, a waste of space. You got to understand this flow is trying to get to a place in your mind to understand how to think in that split second. You got to be a warrior all the way. You got to marry you to this way. You got to understand this flow is trying to explain something so clear of mind. You got to be, your heart's got to be pure in it. Got to be in a very split second, no phobia seen. You got to understand this way is trying to explain away a moment of your life, a split second of your life, to be a warrior, to be in that exact moment when it's needed to be count. You got to understand this moment is to take over and take control like a noise control. So you got to understand it's spreading in your mind, it's going through your body. You got to understand, you got to move, you got to have that cyber connection with yourself. This way of literally putting yourself together a certain way. It might be delusional, but it makes sense at the moment and the sense of the time. It breaks physics all the way. You got to understand this flow is trying to get to a place in your mind. It's so mind blowing. You might have a meltdown over it. It's the heat you produce of the very split second as a warrior, understanding the movements you got to make it right and make it right to have a defense. You know you got to make it work. You got to understand there's a way of thinking of a defense of your body, of knowing that split seconds is taking over like an instinct, like a heat is being produced from your smile, of knowing this is going perfectly right, exactly how you want it, how this moment's supposed to be seen, how it's supposed to be heard, how it's supposed to be felt, how it's supposed to be emotioned. Literally, you got to be emotionless sometimes to understand this emotion need to come naturally off you. You got to make this natural so you can jump to the next tree and next tree, along and along, like this melody, just a swift way of saying it, a way of smoothness, go along. It's like so smooth, you can slide off it, go all the way down and back up again and jump right into that lake. You know you can swim, so you got the instincts for that. You know what you're doing. You know the layout of the lake, how it looks, how deep it goes. You know your level, you know your distance, you know what you're capable of. You know you how pressure you can be for the world. And you got to understand this way of life, thinking the way you're putting something together so clear, so nice in your mind. It's like makes sense. It feels so right. But you got to understand, you got to think about that. Sometimes you got to be emotionless and be the right moment and right spot to be a warrior, to understand. You got to take over the control of the mind control, of the noise control of your body, and take over this and understand. You got to lift yourself, not fall down like a fool, like a broken fool. Like you got to understand this moment of your life is very precious, and know this is gotta go the way you gotta know. You gotta know. I know it, 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 and boom. You understand the way of the warrior.